Hello and welcome to Cornish Walking Trails. Today we're here in Roche and this is Roche Rock. Roche Rock is an abandoned chapel. It's been derelict for many years. It's been here for even more years, for hundreds of years. And it's full of myth and legend, and that's why we're here today, to tell you all about it. Hello everybody, we've come out to film a video. The rain today, relentless. So our plan was that we were going to use the church porch to read out our interesting story and then dodge the showers.
We thought we'd get some shelter there, but it was locked, wasn't it? We couldn't film there.
So we couldn't film there. And the rain has been relentless. It's been so heavy. Anyway.
I've just checked the weather app. I reckon we've got an hour and a half of now dry weather to make this video.
Don't tell anyone, but look.
Sarah, why are we at Roche Sports Ground?
Recently we saw a post on Facebook about a protest that's being organised to protect our right to roam, and it involves something behind the camera, which is a huge, iconic, mythological, important building, isn't it?
It's had a right of access for people for time immemorial, isn't it? You know,
well, came about because it was a place of worship, so you had free access. If you look on the ordnance, it's actually in a peach and yellow bit that says unlimited access.
And now that right of access seems to have been removed.
Yeah.
So we've come up today just to have a look, haven't we? To see what is going on.
So we'll show you that a bit later. We'll tell you a bit about the history, about the mythology, which is really fascinating, isn't it?
You do need to turn the camera around because we're trying to get up there, but we don't know how to get up there because we've not been here before. Well, you have.
I have.
You have.
I have.
I haven't.
I did do this when I was younger. Unbeknown to me, I just climbed. It was there. You know, I mean, when you're like 19 and you're faced with a rock, I just climbed it. But I can't really remember much about it. But I know I got to the top, and it was when shut your ears, Andrew. A previous boyfriend was playing cricket over there.
Right.
I got bored, so I just climbed up.
Fair enough.
So we'll just show you where we're trying to head. Okay, so it's that granite outcrop, and on top of it you can just make out the arch of a window, and that is what is left of a chapel which was built on top of a hermitage, wasn't it?
Yes, 600 years old apparently.
Yeah, at the moment can't quite figure out how we're going to get there. The old roller is in our way. We're so soggy. Oh God, I don't know if I can get up there now. I'm older. I think there's a path down that way.
I don't think that's the way. Probably is down there somewhere. Your old boyfriend then?
Yeah.
Did he bowl you over?
Obviously not. He was out for a duck, wasn't he?
He was, wasn't he?
Else I wouldn't be here, would I?
You wouldn't, would you? No. You worked it out?
Not a clue. We could just end up doing a whole circuit of the cricket club. If we can get out onto that road, there is a footpath on the Ordnance Survey that kind of comes around at it from that angle, which is the angle that all the photos are taken from. So it must be possible to get there. We just might just be in the wrong side of the hedge.
Can you not remember? You know, you were 19 when you did it. You must be able to remember where you went.
Cheeky. Okay, two lads up there. So it must be possible to get up there. Well, this is intriguing. Will we make it up there or not today?
We were told it's all been like locked up and everything, and you can't get up there. No,
Big
that's
fences
interesting.
put up.
We can't even find a path to get up there at the moment. There's a path here. Should we try this one?
I think so.
Let's try the football pitch now.
Yeah. Oh gosh. I was not expecting to see somebody in the old chapel up there. That is really intriguing. I wonder if we'll get up there. This might change the whole plan of our video.
Okay, we haven't got a clue how to get there, have we?
Well, I have a clue, won't listen.
Okay.
So the cricket ground is that rectangle.
It's literally behind it, isn't it?
We were over here in the field somewhere by the football field.
Right.
So we've come back down that road towards the church, and if we carry on down here, we should find that pathway.
Ah, public footpath.
Yeah, that takes you to Roche Rock.
So, just interesting, does that say if it's common access ground, or does it say it's private or anything like that?
Well, you can tell that by the coding on the map. So the peach outside and pale yellow inside means that's public access.
Okay, that's interesting. We'll explain more if we get up there.
I don't know if I can do it now. Right, I think we might have found an access point. How long did that take us?
In here half an hour, walking around a cricket ground. It's across here, sir.
Yeah.
Up there.
Oh yeah. Say it like you know it, Andrew. Oh, brilliant.
Information board.
Just what we need.
So it says here, special because of its history. The ruin perched on the rock is a chapel dedicated to St Michael in 1409. It has 2 stories, a chapel above and a room below. The chapel is a time capsule from 1409. It's been a ruin for at least 250 years. That much we know. Beyond those facts, it's all myth and legend.
Tourists have been coming here for years, and if you've watched the channel for a while, you know we like our old Victorian books that are written by people that did tours here in the Victorian era, and this place features quite a lot because they did enjoy rock formations. So like the lizard attracted a lot of attention because of serpentine, Cambrai because of the granite, cheese ring because of its shape, and this similarly people made an effort to get here. In outline it looks like a church, I guess. I'm thinking that camera might not be showing you all of the things that I can see with the naked eye. What do you think?
It's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah.
Just being on the ground. I've driven past this quite a few times, but never been here. Always wanted to come here. I know it's interesting. There's a lot of legends around this place, isn't there? I think we're going to explore 1 or 2 of those today, isn't it? I'm sure as we go around, the chapel on the top will become more obvious.
Yes. I'm just also sneaking a glance at the view. You can see the rain sweeping across the landscape. That's another reason people came here, was to admire the views for miles around. So Roche is a little village in the China clay area of Cornwall, so it's between the A30 and Snorstall, and it's not somewhere that you would typically come maybe these days as a tourist, because we want beaches and sunbathing, surfing and ice creams. But if you do like a bit of a challenge, by all accounts getting up there is just that. There's lots of publications detailing Roche Rock. This is Sheila Bird's Cornish Curiosities, and she calls it a natural phenomenon for elevated thinking. This is just to give you some context really, and it says it's the northern edge of Snorstall's China clay mining area is well known for its rocks, which are outliers of the Hen's Barrow beacon, which is further down here. The most striking and famous of these is a tough quartz gall outcrop at Roche, capped by a ruined chapel of St Michael. A guidebook of 1824 tells us that a ride to the Roche Rocks, which are situated almost 6 miles from Bodmin, will be highly gratifying for the curious traveller or an admirer of natural curiosities. They consist of 3 immense piles of craggy, ponderous stones rising to considerable height at a distance resembling an ancient castle, which, yeah, I can see that. And it goes on to say that Dr. Richard Pocock, travelling through the county in 1750, wrote of the famous rock with its hermitage, which was ascendable by a precarious ladder, adding, "Even some ladies of masculine courage have gone up onto it." So that's something we might try and do later, at least have a look, and I think that's where the modern day controversy has arisen, although it's repeating history.
That's interesting. So that book from 1824 that she's quoting from, I actually
Yeah.
know which book that is. I've actually got a copy of that at home. It's by a chap called Stockdale, and he came to Cornwall on his travels, really.
Yeah.
He was curious about the place. He came, he travelled, he wrote about it, he did etchings. I've got that. I might dig it out. I'm pretty sure there's an engraving in that book as well of Roche rock, so that'll be 200 years old.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
Yeah. So one of the myths, Tristan and Iseult.
It is going back to the legend of King Arthur times, aren't
Yes.
we? But yes, so King Mark, he was in charge of Cornwall at that point, and the story of Tristan and Iseult was basically that Iseult was to be his bride, and Tristan, I think, was his son. Is that right?
No, I thought he was just a knight.
Oh, a knight. Okay,
who
went to Ireland
Yeah.
to bring the bride across.
Yes,
they fell
for King
madly
Mark.
in love, didn't they? And Tristan and Iseult, they had to elope, didn't they? And apparently they found sanctuary here. They were hiding here from King Mark.
Now,
That's the legend.
That's one of the legends, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now there is a book, a Daphne du Maurier book, and I can't remember the name of it, but I'll run it across the screen now. She based her book on that story.
Okay. I've also heard stories of witches at the top
No.
of that. Yes, conjuring up spells and all sorts. It's supposed to be haunted up here. There's so many legends with this place. The more you read, the more interesting it becomes.
This book goes on to say, predictively, the immense stone has attracted colourful stories concerning the favourite Cornish bogeyman, Tregeagle. So let's find out a bit more about Tregeagle. A fascinating story, and I just know you're going to love this. So we have another delicious Victorian book with us this time. It's written by Robert Hunt, and it is the popular romances of the west of England. It's printed in 1865, and he has a whole chapter dedicated to the romances of Tregeagle. So he says, who has not heard of the wild spirit Tregeagle? He haunts equally the moor, the rocky coast, and the blown sand hills of Cornwall. From north to south, east to west, this doomed spirit is heard of, and to the day of judgment he is doomed to wander, pursued by avenging fiends, for ever enduring to perform some task by which he hopes to secure repose, and being forever defeated. Who has not heard the howling of Tregeagle? So Tregeagle was actually a man, and he was a very cruel man. He was very dominated by money. He was self-serving, and he became very wealthy off the back of his corrupt endeavours. Certain it is that the man Tregeagle was diabolically wicked. He seems to have been urged on from one crime to another until the cup of sin was overflowing. So during his lifetime he wasn't that noticeable because he managed to cover up all of his crimes. But it was when he died that things became quite interesting. So it said that devils waited to secure the soul they had won, and Tregeagle in terror gave to the priesthood wealth that they might fight with them and save his soul from eternal fire. Desperate was the struggle, but the powerful exorcisms of the banded brotherhood of a neighbouring monastery drove back the evil ones, and Tregeagle slept with his fathers. But he didn't sleep for long. So the reason that Tregeagle wasn't allowed to rest in peace was a case was brought between two landowners, one of whom he was steward for and the neighbouring one. So they went to court, but they couldn't decide who should win. The documents that they were looking at had actually been forged by Tregeagle, so they didn't make sense anymore, and they couldn't decide. So the judge just didn't know what to do. He was about to disband the court, and the defendant brought in a chilling image, a spectre, which was Tregeagle brought back from the dead. He gave his witness on the stand, and they found in defence of the defendant, but they didn't know what to do with Tregeagle afterwards. They thought he would just disappear, but he didn't. They had to call in the priests again, the vicars. They didn't know how to control him. They didn't want to send a soul to hell if they could possibly save him, so they committed him to ever-enduring work task after task that would hopefully cleanse his soul of the sins that he committed as a mortal. They sent him to Dosmary Pool to empty it using a limpet shell. To make it more difficult, they perforated the limpet shell so it never worked. A storm blew up, and in the midst of that storm, Tregeagle felt the fiends that were chasing him and waiting for him to fail were going to take him. He leapt across the water and he arrived here at Roche Rock. He managed to get his head through the window, and the devils and fiends that were following him couldn't take him to hell. And that's how Tregeagle is associated with Roche Rock.
So he was dead at this stage, wasn't he?
Yes.
This was his spirit, wasn't
Yeah.
it? So in this courtroom, they summoned his spirit, and he appeared, and he gave us evidence, isn't it? And as you said, when he escaped from Dosmary Pool, it was his spirit that was being chased, wasn't it? I think it was the hounds of hell
Yes.
chasing him. And he got here, and as you said, he got his head in through the window to gain sanctity, but the rest of his body was outside. Apparently it's carried on for two days, is that right?
Something like that, a long time.
Yes, yeah, so they then had to find somewhere else for him to go, didn't they?
Yeah.
There's all sorts of stories. He ended up in Padstow, I think, trying to make rope out of sand. And there's other stories. He was down at Low Bar, wasn't he? Down at Helston, and they were making him carry sand across, and he dropped a huge bag, and that's what's created Low Bar.
Yeah,
Yes.
fantastic. He is so synonymous with Cornwall, and yet he's kind of been lost, hasn't he?
So this was a real person?
Yes.
But what, 1600s, is that right?
That's what I think.
Yes.
I'm not quite sure, but
Yeah,
yes, something like that.
Jan Tregeagle, as far
Jan,
as I know.
yeah.
Jan, yeah. But yeah, his legend lives on. He was obviously a terrible man. Apparently he murdered his wife and his young child, and then he continued to marry, and every time he married a woman of wealth. And apparently he did away with them as well. So over the lifetime, he accumulated all this wealth, and he was
Yes.
a landowner. And he was
Well, as a steward, he diddled his landlord
Yeah.
out of some land, didn't he? Which
Yeah.
was what led to this dispute
Yeah.
in the court in the first place. Amazing
he
character.
obviously managed to get up there. I think we should try.
Wow, really? Gosh.
Let's have a look.
I can't help but notice that the more we're talking about Tregeagle, the windier it's getting. And part of the legend is that when the wind howls and you go, ooh, it's Tregeagle crying out in terror because he can't get rest in the afterlife. So perhaps he's here. So part of the recent dispute is that the landowner here has blocked the ladder that we talked about in the story, probably because it's unsafe or something like that. I think Andrew has the details. He'll be able to fill us in on that. So we're just going to go and have a look and see what he's done. Can't get up there. How did they get up there? Those lads we saw.
So, what we got? We've got a ladder.
Yeah, with a sheet of metal over it. The ladder looks fine.
Okay. Plan? Don't think we can get up there.
No, I don't either. What are you doing?
Well, it's combination lock,
Yeah.
so it can only be so many combinations.
You'll be
Let's have
here
a
all
look.
night.
Right, it's on 99999. This is Tregeagle we're talking about, isn't it? So, 666.
Oh no.
Let's try it. See what happens.
Oh.
6. 6. 6. No. No. Got a hammer?
What's your assessment?
Okay, well we've clearly got a metal ladder here. I mean, this has been here for a long time.
Yeah,
hasn't it?
yeah.
And I reckon that's probably 25, 30 foot in height.
Yeah.
So there's a metal plate here, chained up, locked up as well, and that's probably a good 6 foot there, isn't it?
Yeah, you
Which
can't.
actually makes it almost, you know, you've got no way of getting up here. It's it's slippy. It's a health and safety nightmare, to be perfectly honest with you, isn't it?
Yeah, but it does say danger, do not climb.
I'll probably do it.
No, don't. You can't get back down again.
No. And in observance of the sign, it does say danger, do not climb. And there is obviously clearly danger here because this is really slippy now, and it was raining earlier, so it probably is even slippier. Apparently this site, this site is privately owned. However, there's kind of been an agreement here over many years, isn't it? But this is sort of free access. It's free access land, isn't it? And it's an important part of our Cornish culture. This is owned apparently by Lord Falmouth, Viscount Falmouth, I think, isn't it? He's called. And yeah, they've recently closed this off, and I think it was only this year. I think it was back in May. I've seen people putting images on earlier on in the year where they're clearly up there.
What was the reason?
There was an accident, as far as I know. Somebody fell off, and whether they broke their leg or whatever, but they fell off here, and they've obviously decided it's not safe. They don't want to promote people being able to come here. However, the official reason that they gave for this wasn't to do with that. I'll dig it out. I've got a statement from Tregeagle, which is the estate, what they actually said. So this is a statement from the 23rd of May of this year, 2024, by Tregeagle Estate, which is the estate of Lord Falmouth. And it says, a spokesperson said, Roche Rock is a site of special scientific interest and a country wildlife site, and access is damaging the area. That was the official reason, apparently.
Well, I've seen some ravens up there.
Right.
But if we take a look up there, just put the camera up, it's ivy, there's an oak tree, some grass.
So that was the official reason they gave, okay? And it went on to say, it says, following an incident where a member of the public suffered an injury and had to be airlifted off the rock, the estate were advised to close the ladder. When asked if the closure was permanent, the spokesperson said, for the moment it will remain closed, but the estate will continue to take advice and act as appropriate. Well, we're now October. This was closed in May. We're talking about a ladder, aren't we? We're talking about a ladder that needs to be safe somewhere.
Well, you don't know, do you, from that article? It could be that she fell off the top. He, she, they.
I mean, what it needs, basically, it needs to be sign some sort of declaration here at the bottom. So you do this at your own risk. It accepts, you know, if you injure yourself, it is your own fault. That's what they kind of need, isn't it?
Yeah. All I can say is I'm very glad I went up there when you could. Okay, so there it is. Look at that structure.
Bet the views are nice up there.
You'll never know.
I know. It's a shame, isn't it?
So this has happened before, hasn't it? A former Lord Falmouth who held the title.
Yeah, so interestingly, you go back about 130 years ago, the exact same thing pretty much happened, that Lord Falmouth at that time, obviously a different Lord Falmouth, he put fencing up around here. He wanted to prevent people actually coming here. It caused all sorts of uproar at the time. This went on for quite a few years. He had police, apparently. He was in control of the police here to restrict people from coming in. Built a big fence around here.
Wow.
The locals, because they were protesting at the time, because they knew that this should be a place that they should be able to come to, because they always had in the past. And they came up here and they bashed down the fence with big stones, apparently, and they even got some dynamite up here. There was a big sign, apparently, and they came up here one day and they blew it up. But
eventually, the remains of that post up there, isn't it?
I did wonder that. But in the end, it was decided that for one day in the year, Lord Falmouth had the right to close the site, but for the other 364 days in the year it had to remain open for people.
Oh, okay.
And it was because of the fact there's a chapel up there, which obviously is no longer in use, it's ruinous, but it was a place of worship which had to be allowed to be open. Now I don't know what's changed over the last 130 years. I'm sure something has. I'm sure legally this can be done to prevent access.
Well, probably health and safety trumps the fact that it maybe is consecrated ground. It does depend, I guess, on consecration of the ground, whether worship is continued there, which it looks very much as though you doubt it is, do you?
And
so
obviously we can still come to the site. It's not being fenced off or anything like that. At the moment it's just literally the ladder which they've taken out of service. But it seems, you know, a strange reason, if they're saying it's to protect, it's an area of special scientific interest and to protect wildlife, and
It's
it's still allowing
confusing,
people
isn't
to
it?
be here.
Yeah.
When probably the truth of the
It's
matter
more
is
to
it's
do
probably
with
with health
being
and safety,
sued,
isn't it? And being sued, yeah. Need to install a lift system. That's what I do. A little cafe at the
Cable
top.
car.
Now you're talking, isn't it? A funicular railway, something like that.
Call me weird, but I quite fancy living up there.
You're weird.
I know what they should do with it.
What's that?
Airbnb.
Perfect answer.
Yeah.
Look at it.
Tregeagle's final place of banishment for a never-ending task was to go down to Porthcurno and move sand from Porthcurno round towards Land's End.
Okay.
And it was a never-ending task because of course the waves come from the Atlantic and push it all back again. And he said to shriek with frustration down there, so if you ever find yourself at Land's End in a storm and the wind is blowing and you can hear it howl, be careful.
That's
It
Tregeagle,
might
is
be
it?
Tregeagle. Anyway, that's the end of our story for today. We've had a lovely time trying to suss out if you can get up to the top of Roche.
It's a shame we couldn't get up there to have a little look,
Yeah.
isn't it? I wonder, have you been before? Have you got memories of coming here?
Yeah, let us know.
And what do you think? What do you think should happen to this site? You know, should it just be cut off now and no
Yeah.
access by people now? What do you think? Let us know in the comments below. And if you've enjoyed today's video, give it a thumbs up. It does help us with the old YouTube algorithm.
And if you've enjoyed today's video, why not subscribe? It's free on YouTube. So until next time, we'll see you soon.
Bye.